The 20-year-old Spaniard Jorge Martin starting from pole position, incredibly, for the 10th time in this 2018 Moto3 World Championship. The Moto3 World Champion was crowned here last year in the shape of Joan Mir. That will not happen today, of course. It looks like we're set to go all the way down to a thrilling and nail-biting final round showdown at the Ricardo Tormo circuit in Valencia. Third last year in the race from pole position behind Mir and Livio Loy. He was second by just 0.8 of a second was Jorge Martin, but it was a costly crash last weekend, which the pendulum swinging right back in favour of this man, Marco Bezzecchi. Not the ideal time, though, for him to be finding himself marooned down at the back of row number 5. Bezzecchi's worst qualifying since the final Grand Prix of last year in Valencia.
This is Darren Binder. He's in really good form at the moment, the 20-year-old from South Africa, younger brother, of course, of former world champion Brad. He was on the podium for the first time in his career last week in Motegi, and now he backs it up with a career best second on the grid. Just missed out on a podium here, don't forget, in Moto3. He loves the Phillip Island circuit, and he doesn't have a part to play in the championship. He's a real threat this morning.
It's been a very good week for South African racing talent. His brother Brad Binder, of course, topped the Moto2 warm-up session this morning. Court Ballington inducted into the MotoGP Hall of Fame. Yes, then we can cross down to the grid and hear from Simon Crafer for the first time. Good afternoon, Simon.
Good afternoon. I was just waiting for that camera guy to get his shot of Darren Binder. I'm with Darren now. Darren, ever since you found that setting that has given you the confidence, you've really been on fire. It's really impressive. First front row of the season. What have you got planned?
Well, I mean, it's difficult to plan anything in Moto3, but the plan is to race, and try to be the first guy across the finish line. So yeah, hopefully that it's not too crazy, the race, but yeah, let's see what happens.
Best of luck, Darren.
Thanks.
Sounds like a pretty good plan to me.
Well, yeah, a pretty simple plan. Not quite so simple to execute for Darren Binder. Yeah, let's just race and let's see who crosses the line first. Yeah, Darren Binder, of course, great momentum and confidence coming into this race. Here we are then back on row 5. We haven't had to travel that far back to see Marco Bezzecchi for quite some time. That crucial third win of the season, just denying Darren Binder a famous win at the Twin Ring Motegi 1 week ago. He just took the checkered flag ahead of the informed Lorenzo Dalla Porta.
Guys, I'm also now again on the front row with Ayumu Sasaki. Ayumu, you've had a bit of a bad run of luck, but in the last 6-7 races you've been fast. Now front row, is this the day your luck's going to change?
Well, obviously, yeah, last 7 races have been really good, and I have a pace to race with them, and today we had a good qualify, so we are in the front row. So I try to fight with them and try to get the first podium in World Championship.
You like this circuit?
Yeah, I love this track, so it's gonna be fun.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, the crazy boy on the front row, Ayumu Sasaki. He's found something. Didn't quite work out for him in Motegi last time out, but he was fighting for the podium in Thailand. He will desperately love to get himself that first podium before the end of the season.
Yeah, only the second front row start of Ayumu Sasaki's Grand Prix career, his first since Mugello. His career best finish was in this race 1 year ago, a 7th place, only 0.8 of a second off the race victory. Down to you again, Simon.
Yes, I'm now on with the first man on the second row, in 4th position, Jacob Kornfeld. Jacob, this is your best qualifying since your home race, where you're in pole position, and you also raced right at the front there, got on the podium. You think you can do that again today?
I don't know. We will try to do our best. Our potential is high, I think, here. We have a good speed. I showed yesterday in qualifying. Even I go alone, I can be really fast. I hope I will feel good on the bike in the race, and if yes, then maybe it's possible. But slipstream. Here is all about the slipstream, so let's see.
You like it here?
Thank you very much. Sorry?
You like it here?
Yeah. I like a lot. The track is amazing. It's very fast. It suits my style. But like I said, you can be first in the last corner, and then in the first corner you arrive 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. You know, it's very difficult.
Thank you and good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thanks to Jakob Kornfeld. I think he thinks it's going to be important in the slipstream. He said it 4 times in 5 words there. We went back down the grid there to catch a quick glimpse of Fabio Di Gianantonio. It's been a tough week for him, of course. That massive crash which put a dent in his championship challenge 7 days ago at the Twin Ring Motegi in Japan. He was detained in hospital for some head injuries. Perfectly okay this weekend, but he took a nasty tumble at turn 4 on Friday. His worst qualifying over a year, since he was 17th at the Twin Rim Motegi 1 year ago. So there's work to do for the likes of Bezzecchi from 15th to Gian Antonio 17th. Lorenzo Dalla Porta's had 3 podiums in the last 4. He's down in 20th place after that hold the radiator in qualifying. It all swung the way of Jorge Martin in qualifying yesterday. Which way is the pendulum going to swing in this 23-lap Australian Grand Prix?
There is Martin and there is Bezzecchi with that Scorpion on his helmet. In terms of the second row, we saw, we just heard from Jakob Kornfeil, we saw Gabriel Rodrigo. He starts from 5th, a nice message there, supporting his teammate Kazuki Masaki, who unfortunately broke his hand in a crash at turn 1 yesterday.
Here's the German Philipp Oertel, his first top 6 in a qualifying session since Brno, only the 3rd top 6 he's had all season, the German. In terms of his race performances, well, his form has fallen off a cliff really since that famous victory at the Spanish Grand Prix in Jerez, our first trip to Europe this year. No top 6 in the 10 races since then, just 2 top 10s as well since that famous breakthrough victory, which made him just the 7th father and son combo to win a Grand Prix.
Some great aerial footage here of this Phillip Island circuit, looking over to the Southern Loop, the Bass Strait there in the distance. Here's Tony Arbolino. He starts from the 3rd row, 7th. He's in good form at the moment. Has been very strong all weekend, the Italian. His best result of his career last week in Motegi. Could well be in as a shout for a podium here today.
Yeah, he was very strong inside the top 3 again this morning. Warm-up session was Tony Arbolino. Points in 5 of his last 6 races. First top 10 in 4, though it was last time out. As the man, what a massive day it is for that man potentially. Pecco Bagnaia looking on from pit wall. He has this first chance today, his first match point to wrap up the 2018 Moto2 World Championship. He starts from down in 16th place in the upcoming Moto2 race with his main championship rival Miguel Oliveira having a nightmare weekend. Oliveira down in 20th. That's all coming up later on, though. Back in the present, we're focusing on the battle between Jorge Martin and Marco Bezzecchi. As we've mentioned already this weekend, it's the closest gap at the top of the lightweight World Championship after 15 races since Gabor Talmashi and Head to Falbel was split by 1 point in the 125cc class 11 years ago now, way back in 2007.
As the BMW roars away, it's always the sign that we're 5 minutes away from the race start. We're looking here at Marcos Ramirez, the 20-year-old. He's 9th in the championship. Ramirez 12th in Japan last time out, but a couple of top 10 finishes in Aragon and Thailand. He'll be looking to get himself into that top 5 here today. And again, we look back to Marco Bezzecchi, who has to have a big day and has to have a good start and try and keep himself clean whilst making forward momentum.
Well, Aaron Canet said yesterday, starting from 10th place on the grid, nobody has really got flash pace apart from Jorge Martin. Can Martin, like he did in Motorland Aragon, make that crucial break? Here's a man who's in great form of late. He's enjoyed 2 visits to the Far East so far this year. Dennis Foggia on the podium for the first time in his career in Buriram in Thailand. He was so close to podium again 7 days ago in Japan. So a couple of top 4 places in the last 2 races for Foggia. Keep an eye on him. He goes from 9th on the grid. His 3rd top 10 qualifying in the last 4.
10th on the grid, Aaron Canet returned from injury in Japan. Unfortunately went down on the opening lap, but looking to bounce back and get himself somewhere near that podium. We are inching closer to action here in Australia. On the front row then, it's the crazy boy, Ayumu Sasaki. Darren Binder looking to make it back-to-back podiums. And of course, championship on the mind for Jorge Martin, who starts from pole in Phillip Island.
$25 crucial World Championship points at stake. 23 laps for the Moto3 riders to tackle here at Phillip Island. Pole position led by Jorge Martin. Front row, Darren Binder and Ayumu Sasaki. Row 2, Jakob Kornfeil, Gabriel Rodrigo and Philipp Oertel. Row 3, headed by Tony Arbolino, joined there by Marcos Ramirez and Italy's Dennis Foggia. Aaron Canet on row 4, Albert Arenas joining him with Keita Toba. Good job by the Japanese rider yesterday. Noureddin Bastianini and the man in 2nd place in the championship, Bezzecchi on row 5. Lopez, Fabio Di Gianantonio with a lot of work to do from 17th. His worst qualifying in over a year on the middle of row 6 with John McPhee just behind him. Row 7, led by Jaume Masia, Lorenzo Dalla Porta looking for a 4th podium in 5 ahead of Celestino Vietti, who continues to replace the injured Nicolo Buliga. Yari Montella in for the absent Nicolo Antonelli. He's joined on that row 8 with Suzuki and Nepa. At the wrap, Pupa, Andre Mino and Vicente Perez. they completely, slightly depleted 27 rider field here this weekend. Of course, with Kazuki Masaki on the RBA Racing KTM sideline with that broken hand injury he suffered yesterday.
Jorge Martin, 8 podiums, 6 wins this year. Bezzecchi, 10 podiums, 3 wins. Does Martin make it lucky number 7 and establish a bigger lead in this World Championship? There are 3 to go as they rumble away for their warm-up lap. Let's quickly drop down to Simon before the start of the race. Any news on the tyre front, Simon?
Yes, and it's very easy. Everybody on the medium front, everybody on the medium rear.
Well, we haven't got any problems there then. We like it when it's like that. It's all just down to rider talent. Who's big and brave here in Phillip Island? These Moto3 machines can get buffed around a bit in the wind here at Phillip Island. It's not as breezy as it was yesterday. The sun's even popping out to say hello at this moment as we look here and ride on board with Enea Bastianini, the Leopard Honda riders. Not a great day at the office yesterday. Enea Bastianini starting in 14th, and Lorenzo Dalla Porta, who's in great form in terms of race trim, starting in 20th, so they've got work to do from way back on the grid.
Yeah, Bastianini, the 20-year-old Italian's got a very average record here as well on Australian soil. His 5th place here last year. It was only 4/10 of a second off the victory, but it was his only finish in 4 visits to this famous Phillip Island circuit. Of course, he was hit in that multi-rider pile-up early on in 2016 by Jorge Navarro down at turn number 10, suffered a broken vertebra, which kept him out of the Malaysian Grand Prix. He was replaced, of course, that day by a man who's on the front row today, Ayumu Sasaki.
Bezzecchi, part of the VR46 Academy. Martin riding solo. He said back in Japan that he felt like he's almost being ganged up on by the VR46 Academy riders. Can Marco Bezzecchi's friends help him out here today? There are the championship standings on your screen. 1 point separating Martin and Bezzecchi, with the Gian Antonio in 3rd, 29 down.
Yeah, ganged upon by VR46 Academy. Can he go gangbusters at the start of this race and break the slipstream? That's going to be the key factor. We heard from Jakob Kornfall. We've seen it so many times down the years here in Moto3. Cast your minds back, the local fans here in Australia will remember it very, very well. Jack Miller in 2014 crossing the line in an epic battle. The top 6 riders covered by just 2/10 of a second. Are we set for another Island Classic?
The man himself, Miller, on pit wall, ready to start, or ready to watch the start of this Moto3 race as the riders make their way onto the grid. A 23-lap race coming up for the lightweight class. This championship goes to Sepang no matter what. Who goes there with the advantage? Martin on pole, Binder 2nd, Sasaki 3rd. We look to the lights, the top left corner, out they go. Good start there from Jorge Martin on pole position. He will surely get into turn 1 here out front. Immediately though, getting into the slipstream and using the power of that KTM. Binder and Sasaki tried to get past, and Rodrigo flying through from the 2nd row to take the lead.
Rodrigo got the perfect launch from that 2nd row. He got the dream start, dropped the clutch absolutely to perfection, did Rodrigo. He sweeps into 1st place, and in the southern loop, Jorge Martin just around the outside there in 3rd place. Darren Binder got pushed a little bit wide as well. One of the Honda Team Asia machines is off circuit at the southern loop too. Philipp Oertel now at the Stoner Curve. That's super brave by the German up the inside of Rodrigo. Oertel leads.
Yeah, brilliant from the number 65 as we now charge down into turn 4. On the brakes hard there is Martin. He's got the inside line. Brilliant from the man on pole position. Jorge Martin has regained the lead then as they now head up towards Siberia.
Well, give Jorge Martin an inch and he'll take a yard. That's exactly what he did there at turn 4. Extremely brave on the braking zone. Those tyres will not be up to full working temperature, but he got up the inside of Oertel, just nudged the German a little bit wide. That allowed Rodrigo to sweep back into 2nd place.
Sasaki there is just in 5th and 6th place with Alberto Reinas. Jakob Kornfall also in that leading group.
Bezzecchi's gained 2 places. He's gone up from 15th to 13th. Di Gian Antonio has also picked up a couple of spots, 17th to 15th for him.
Di Gian Antonio there just going through behind Aaron Canet, who's not got off to the best of starts. There is Marco Bezzecchi. Just up ahead of him is Enea Bastianini that we're looking at, and he's already trying to make another move down into turn 11.
And look at this by Jorge Martin. He was super, super quick in sectors 2 and 3. He gapped Rodrigo by almost 4/10 of a second. Is he already trying to break that slipstream? You bet he is. Binder's got slipstream behind Rodrigo, but look at that. Gabriel Rodrigo coming from a mile back on that powerful KTM. He didn't need to slipstream Jorge Martin. As soon as he got the KTM wound up to top gear, it was effortless. Jorge Martin, in the blink of an eye, first to fourth.
Oh, Darren Binder thought about a move into the southern loop then on Gabriel Rodrigo. The Red Bull KTM man sitting pretty at the moment. The number 40 in second. Tony Arbolino's in that top 5 as well.
So Bezzecchi crossed the line in 12th place. Gian Antonio in 15th. There, of course, Martin's closest championship rivals. There is Bezzecchi now sweeping through the Stoner corner. It's Binder that leads from Rodrigo. Tony Arbolino getting a bit busy on the Marinelli Snipers Honda. In fact, he's up inside that top 3, exactly where he was at the end of this morning's warm-up session.
Bezzecchi gambled then by going the long way round at turn 4. That could have really been a bit nasty for him. As it is, he's gone up into 11th place past Adam Norradine. In fact, he's just dropped back behind him again. Here he is now trying to chase the Petronas Sprinter rider. We're on board with the Italian now as he sits in 12th place.
Norradine looking for a big morale boost going home to Malaysia next week for his crucial home Grand Prix. They drop down into turn 10 then for the second time of asking. Darren Binder getting that front end a little bit squirrely. That's aggressive by the crazy boy Sasaki. Lifted up Philip Hurtle there at turn number 10. Philip Hurtle's lost all momentum now coming out of 10 through 11, but Sasaki took that 5th place aggressively. Hard but fair.
Around we come then. Oh, a big moment for Marquez Ramirez. As we head onto the straight, he's held onto it, but heart-in-mouth moment. Binder it is that will lead across the line, but here comes the slipstream. You heard Jakob Kornfeil mention it, and look at what a difference it makes as Arbolino shoots through. He's got that inside line, but Martin is the last of the late breakers into turn 1.
Well, Arbolino with the 3-bike slipstream there, you felt sure he was going to take the lead into the Doohan corner, but Martin and Rodrigo just slightly later on the brakes, a bit sharp on that front end, into that scary, flat-out first corner. Fastest lap of the race has gone to Jaume Masia, 1:37.090. You can see the effect of the slipstream. Masia, the fastest lap. He's down in 17th place, although he crossed the line in 17th, outside the points, but only 1.8 seconds off this battle at the front.
Normally madness into turn 4 for Moto3. 3 and 4 abreast they are, but Martin it is that comes out on top. Bezzecchi struggling to make forward movement here.
I don't know if that was Perez, Steve, at the back of this lead group. Somebody was out the seat at the back of this group coming out of turn number 4, just a little bit eager on the throttle there. They were almost launched to the moon.
The rider at the start that went wide, it was Kaito Toba, by the way. He's in 27th place, got a lot of catching up to do. We're now riding on board again with Marco Bezzecchi, with Adam Norradine up ahead of him. This is the battle for 10th place, so he's made up another place as the Italian, and now here he comes. Ooh, it was a bit tight, and he makes contact.
They touch definitely at the bottom of the hill into turn number 10. Contact then between Bezzecchi and Sasaki. Fabio Di Gianantonio not making any significant progress. In fact, he lost the place last time around. He came over the line to start this 3rd lap in 15th. He's currently circulating down in 16th position. Dalla Porta's taken that 15th spot from him.
Onto the start-finish straight we go to complete lap 3. Martin it is that leads from Darren Binder. Gabriel Rodrigo and Alberto Arenas now coming through.
Horrible week for Vicente Perez, penalised 6 places on the grid after that incident with Nicolo Antonelli last weekend, and a bit eager to get the launch on the back of the grid. He jumped the start, so Vicente Perez, the number 77 Reale Vinci Academy rider, has got a ride-through penalty. He's in 21st place at the moment, Perez.
KTM acceleration and top speed is absolutely awesome, but Jorge Martin's mid-corner speed is something else around this Phillip Island circuit. Almost running into the back of Darren Binder around the southern loop. He's got the inside line here as well. He'll take it into turn 4. A block pass goes wrong. He runs it wide. He's going to drop down to about 5th or 6th place there, Jorge Martin. So a mistake already from the championship leader.
Yeah, so all the hard work there undone in a matter of seconds in the braking zone at turn number 4 then for Jorge Martin. Back behind Gabriel Rodrigo. It's Binder, Arbolino. Alberto Arenas has ghosted himself up inside that top 3 now. Arenas has come not too far back, actually, has he, Alberto Arenas? He's qualified in 11th place. That's confirmation of Vicente Perez's ride-through, courtesy of his jump start.
Seeing Jorge Martin make that mistake has lit the eyes up of Marco Bezzecchi. He's made another place up. Philip Hurtle's just struggling here on this lap as well. He's been pumped all the way back to around about 12th or 13th place, but Bezzecchi's now inside that top 10.
Yeah, and Gian Antonio not making any progress whatsoever, not any impression so far from him. He's back now in 17th place, exactly where he started this race.
Valentino Rossi, the boss, of course, of the VR46 Academy, has been given some advice to Bezzecchi. So far, I'd expect that the veteran Italian would be quite pleased with his rider. He's gone about his business well so far. Into turn one we go. Darren Binder it is that leads from Dennis Foggia. We've barely mentioned the Italian's name all weekend, and now he's got that inside line as he looks to try and peel through.
He's brave around the outside of Ramirez from Martin at the southern loop. Yeah, he got picked up there by Ramirez. Ramirez had the prime position, he had the racing line. Bezzecchi got the crazy boy Sasaki on the slipstream into the first corner, so you can see now Bezzecchi, there's only Alberto Arenas between himself and the World Championship leader Jorge Martin.
Into turn four, the inside line there.
Bezzecchi's out a bit wide.
So is Martin.
Yeah.
The pair of them are out wide there. They're both going to lose ground. Again, Martin, they're struggling, and in fact, he's going to be greeted by Marco Bezzecchi in any moment now. Ayumi Sasaki's dropped back a few places as well. Albert Arenas has now moved up into the top 6.
Yeah.
Dalla Porta's just put in the fastest lap of the race. He's in 11th. He's done a good job so far from 20th on the grid as Bezzecchi now is side by side with his championship rival Martin in the battle for 8th.
And Dennis the Menace starting to look menacing. Dennis Foggia, they're now up into 3rd place. That was Canet making a lunge up the inside of Arenas at turn 10. He made that stick pretty well. The crazy boy, Sasaki, got really, really tight to Bezzecchi's rear tyre there. Down in that tricky braking zone for the downhill right-hander at turn 10. It will be Binder, though, that will sweep through the final corner, turn 12, for the 5th time of asking.
Watch the acceleration here on board with Marco Bezzecchi in 9th place, straight into the slipstream. He's going to make light work of this. Past Jorge Martin he comes.
Arenas got beaten up on that lap. He came over the line second. He's now in 7th place. And Bezzecchi then, for the first time in this race, has got his nose in front of Jorge Martin. Martin's out wide, going through the Doohan corner. That will give him the inside line into the southern loop, although he can't find a way through. Oh, look at that. That was aggressive by Martin, up the inside of Canet. Canet was caught in the sandwich there between the two main championship rivals. Canet had nowhere to go. He got lifted up by Martin. Incredible action there at the southern loop.
Look at this lot around Stoner Corner. There's 5 or 6 of them trying to find the same piece of asphalt. Down into turn 4 is the 2 former teammates, Darren Binder and Marcos Ramirez, that are 1 and 2 from Rodrigo, Foggia and Arbolino. 4 KTMs at the sharp end.
We knew it was going to be an epic dogfight. We hoped it was going to be another classic here in Australia, but just the race that Jorge Martin and Marco Bezzecchi did not want. These guys are fighting for the biggest prize of their life, the Moto3 World Championship. Darren Binder's doing a great job of making the early running here. Got to say, he's got himself into a real consistent rhythm in those low 137s. Ramirez did briefly take that lead from him over the line last time around, but he's got back into the lead now as the South African.
Just a small matter after 5 laps as Masia makes really good progress there. A dive and lunge up the inside of Dalla Porta. The pair of them have come from 19th and 20th on the grid.
Tell you what, there's been a few skirmishes down at turn 10 between Bezzecchi and Sasaki so far in this race. They've exchanged more than 2 or 3 overtakes there, the pair of them into turn 10. What's that done now is put Bezzecchi right behind Jorge Martin. And with the power of that KTM when it's wound up in 6th gear and the slipstream, he shouldn't have no dramas. In slipstream, he's straight past number 88, his main championship rival, on the run down to the Doohan corner.
Top 17 covered by 1.7 seconds across the line there.
Bezzecchi did get through on Jorge Martin then with the slipstream, just catapulted by him into the Doohan corner, although Martin is brilliant. His corner speed through the southern loop, he's just ridden around the outside of Marco Bezzecchi. Outstanding, brave move that by Jorge Martin, pulled it off brilliantly at the southern loop. Bezzecchi though fights straight back coming through the Stoner corner. Just wonder where that wide line just cost Martin drive out the southern loop, because Bezzecchi was able to sweep straight back on through at Stoner corner.
He just got a nudge by Jaume Masia as well, did Jorge Martin. And Gian Antonio is starting to make progress slowly but surely at the front though. Darren Binder somehow manages to barge his way through to the front of this pack again. There is Rodrigo in 2nd, Dennis the Menace, the Foggia, number 10 in 3rd, Albert Arenas, number 75 in 4th, then it's Arbolino, Ramirez and Bezzecchi.
He's done well to gather himself back up, Ramirez, after that big scare on the front end, coming through turn 12 early on in this race. They drop down into turn 10. Bezzecchi, there's going to be no way through on Ramirez this time around. Jaume Masia is turning into a stalker right now. Dalla Porta, that was aggressive up the inside of Masia coming through turn number 11. The man chasing his 4th podium in 5. Dalla Porta's crept himself inside the top 10, come from a long way back in 20th place. Still no significant charge as yet from Fabio Gian Antonio. He's in contention, but he's down in 16th place.
There is Martin, just behind Dalla Porta, being slipstreamed by Jaume Masia. Ayumu Sasaki, part of that group as well. But look at this, who's going to go into turn one out front? Lorenzo Dalla Porta's got the inside line. Oh, a good move there. He's in such great form at the moment, but so is Dennis Foggia. He will lead into the Southern Loop.
6 or 7 abreast into the Doon corner. Nail-biting action here in Moto3, as always, in Phillip Island. Dennis Foggia is your leader. Lorenzo Dalla Porta came over the line in 8th place, and with the slipstream on that number 48 machine, as Marco Bezzecchi goes for it, Bezzecchi now leads the Grand Prix. He came over the line in 7th place, and then within 3 corners, with the slipstream, Marco Bezzecchi's hit the front here in Phillip Island for the first time.
You cannot argue with that from 15th on the grid. He leads now.
Steve, it looked like there was contact there. I don't know if it was between Binder and Arbolino. That pushed Jorge Martin out wide at turn number 4. If either of those two had gone down, Jorge Martin was right on the outside. He was going to be collected there, Martin. He got away with that one a little bit.
There is Martin. He's just behind Ayumu Sasaki. He's in 9th place. As it stands, Championship Live, 17 points that would be in it for Bezzecchi.
And who can now be, although this is an incredible dogfight going on at the front. He's got a perfect wingman here, Bezzecchi. He knows behind. Oh, he's in hot. He's got in hot at turn number 10. Jorge Martin's getting a little bit beaten up here. Bezzecchi was just biting off way more than he could chew on the brakes into turn 10. Surely that let Foggia through. It did.
How on earth Darren Binder stayed up in turn 10 as well, I do not know.
Just going to say, Steve, I mean, Foggia was going to be the perfect wingman for Bezzecchi. He's not going to do anything stupid to try and take away crucial points from his VR46 Academy comrade.
Well, they are teenagers. You would think so, wouldn't you? But Bezzecchi it is that leads into turn 1 from Rodrigo now. Foggia's just dropped down a couple of places because Rodrigo's gone through, number 19, and so is 75, Alberto Reinas.
You can just see how much the top speed of the KTM plays into effect on the start-finish straight. On that Gardner straight, the top 5 now are all KTMs. Bezzecchi, Rodrigo, Reinas, Foggia and Binder.
Martin trying to get in the slipstream of Jaume Masia. We break now into turn number 4. On the brakes it is Darren Binder who lunges underneath from 3rd or 4th. Brilliant stuff. The door was left open. Bezzecchi ran in a bit hot.
Gian Antonio had his best lap of the race. He gained 4 places last time around. He's up to 12th place now, the Italian, on the 2nd of the Del Conco Gresini Hondas.
Alberto Reinas there, number 75, having a good race. Aggressive as always, really picked up his racecraft this year, has the French Grand Prix winner.
Needs to see the checkered flag though, doesn't he? He's been well placed in Buriram, well placed in Matega last weekend. He's chucked it down the road as Arbolino picks the pocket of Bezzecchi down into turn number 10. They concertina up in that downhill braking zone. It's Martin now that decides to dish out a bit of treatment to Sasaki into turn number 11. That's where Bezzecchi's had the measure of the Japanese rider over the last few laps.
Yeah, Martin struggling to shake off Aaron Canet as well, who's just moved back past him. Aaron Canet not having a bad run at it so far. He's inside that top 10. Still a long way to go here in Australia as they cross the line. 14 laps remain here in Australia. It's a humdinger out front. Bezzecchi it is that just leads into Doon corner. Foggia trying to go through. Arbolino now up into 2nd place.
Yeah, with Foggia having a real good battle with Binder for 3rd. Binder will hold it through the Southern Loop. Dalla Porta looking really strong there in 5th place. He's now the lead Honda man. Jorge Martin came over the line down in 12th place.
Jorge Martin loves that wider line through the Southern Loop, but it's not always working out for him. Again, hard on the brakes, the door left open from Bezzecchi. Binder tries to go through. He makes up a few spots into 2nd.
I'm not quite sure how we're getting 22 or 23 bikes at the moment. The top 23 are covered by less than 3 seconds. It's a tight fit through tight corners like turn 4. There's been no drama there so far. How much longer will that go on as this battle continues to rage at the front? It is Bezzecchi who stretched out a couple of tenths advantage over Binder. Arbolino, Dalla Porta's found a way through then on Foggia. He's now starting to surge closer to that podium in 4th.
Yeah, it's been neat and tidy so far from the world's best youngsters. It might not stay that way as we get to the closing stages. Martin just in and around that 7th and 8th place. He cannot quite punch his way through to the front and join these KTMs at the moment. The only Honda riders able to do anything are Arbolino and Dalla Porta. That's been the case for the last couple of GPs.
At the moment, the problem for Martin is he hasn't got the punch out of the final corner. It's very difficult for him to slipstream anybody. The KTM can hold its own so much. Dalla Porta, though, picks up the baton at the front. Brilliant slipstream by Lorenzo Dalla Porta. Foggia goes with him. Bezzecchi came over the line leading by 7,000. Straight away, he's been pushed back to 4th spot.
Martin there, something happened to him. He just lost 4 places as they went into turn 1.
Well, either he ran wide at the Doon corner, Steve, or he's just been slipstreamed himself. He's dropped now behind his teammate, Fabio Gianantonio. So Jorge Martin in 12th position.
On board with the Gianantonio now as we break into turn number 4. There is Jorge Martin, his teammate just up behind him. He would not want things to finish the way they are at present. Bezzecchi is up ahead of him on circuit. Martin down in 12th. The Gianantonio still has a part to play in this championship, don't forget. 29 points is not that much. 3 races still remain, of course, including this one. Dalla Porta leading from Arbolino now.
Honda 1-2, so it can be done. Jorge Martin will see the Honda charge being taken up by the 2 Italians, Dalla Porta and Arbolino. We were bigging up Celestino Vietti, Buliga's replacement last weekend in Japan.
Oh, Bezzecchi's been cleared. How on earth has he stayed on? He hasn't. He's gone down. Rodrigo has taken him out. Down at turn 10. Oh, this could be huge for the championship, and what a disaster for the Italian.
That's a shocker from Rodrigo. KTM on KTM.
That is not going to go down well.
Second time in 3 Grand Prix that Marco Bezzecchi has been wiped out. The innocent party totally understand his frustration. Gabriel Rodrigo is a fellow KTM rider, and he's just taken out Marco Bezzecchi. If you threw the checkered flag now, Jorge Martin would lead going to Malaysia in the penultimate round by 5 points. That is potentially a massive, pivotal, monumental moment in the Moto3 World Championship. You've got to feel sorry, crestfallen for Bezzecchi, taking out no fault of his own. Yet again, second time in 3 Grand Prix. Heartache for Bezzecchi.
Martin would have seen it. We're on board with him now. He will have seen what happened. He knows he's got to finish this race now to take a lead into Sepang, or a larger lead anyway.
That's cruel. That's cruel in the extreme. Now, did Rodrigo have to pick up because he was going to tag Canet? Either way, Bezzecchi was totally the innocent party.
It's a tough one, this, because Rodrigo's tried to find a way through. He was in a bit hot, Rodrigo. Well, it's his crash, but I think when all is said and done, that's a racing incident.
It is a racing incident. What happened there, Steve, was Rodrigo knew he was going to hit Canet. So what he did was, he just squeezed the front brake harder, lost the front, and on the outside, well, that's a familiar sight. Absolute devastation inside the Red Ox Proof-stalled KTM garage, because they saw their man when he was set for the podium in Buriram, taken out by Bastianini at the final corner. And poor old Marco Bezzecchi, there he is on the inside of the circuit. Jorge Martin will have swept by his main championship rival and seen that Bezzecchi is out of the race. Back with the race, Lorenzo Dalla Porta it was that led over the line last time round. You can see him there in 4th place.
Well, yeah, there you go. You can see Martin's team just telling him, look, think, use your head now. You know that Bezzecchi's out of the race. You can see that with your own eyes. Martin, he is the type of rider that would look at that and say, well, in that case, 25 points would come in very, very handy. But he does want to keep himself clean here. Does not want to make any mistakes.
A 5th DNF of the season, of course. Marco Bezzecchi, Dalla Porta. Is that Dalla Porta?
Yeah,
it is.
Big crash.
Southern loop. It's the southern loop, and his Honda goes loop-the-loop.
Well, now we've got, remarkably, 2 Del Conca Cassinis, 1 and 2. Darren Binder's trying to change that, though. That was fast from Binder on the Red Bull KTM.
Bezzecchi now needs some massive favours from some of these KTM guys out there. He needs Binder. He needs the likes of McPhee. He needs Massier up there. He needs Arenas up there. Somebody on a KTM. Foggia is fellow VR46 Academy rider. They've got to try and take some crucial points away here from Jorge Martin.
Martin knows that whatever happens now, he takes a lead into Sepang next week. He's 1 point clear. This championship has toed and froed all year. If it's not Bezzecchi making a mistake, it's Martin making a mistake.
5th DNF of the season for Bezzecchi, Stephen. Unfortunately, 3 of those have come in the last 5. Of course, he was out late on in Mazzano. That was of his own doing. This time around, like in Buriram, nothing he could do about it whatsoever. What a golden chance here, then, for Jorge Martin to seize complete control of this World Championship. See Lorenzo Dalla Porta's leathers have taken a right old beating there. Thankfully, he's okay after that big crash at the Southern Loop, so there'll be no 3rd successive podium finish for him, and there is a very dejected, a beaten Marco Bezzecchi. You've only got a feel for him. Taken out, as we said in Buriram, taken out now here. The innocent party in both. Cruel luck for poor old Bezzecchi. He's been done a bit of a favour here, though, by his great mate, Dennis Foggia, who's taken the lead in this Australian Grand Prix, this frenetic, frantic Australian Grand Prix. Martin again running that wide line. Binder, though, is going to lunge up the inside of him through the southern loop. There was almost contact there, wasn't there?
Yeah, he has got to be careful. There's some heavy hitters here in this leading pack, Martin, and they have got nothing to lose, these KTM riders.
Aaron Canet, who's in this lead group, has got to somehow... Oh, there's a massive high side there!
Oh,
Huge,
big!
huge. It's the two best
teammates.
Oh, that is massive.
Oh, it's a huge crash between the two teammates.
Ramirez lost it, and poor old Jaume Masia had absolutely nowhere to go. That's right out of our commentary box window.
Goodness
The two best of the bi-capital KTMs. That was a monster. I was just about to say Canet has got to somehow in this league group drop 2 places. He made an illegal overtake under a yellow flag, but at the Stoner corner, Masia and Ramirez, 2 absolute monumental crashes. I'm looking out of our commentary box window. Neither of them at the moment has been able to get back on their feet. Both of their motorcycles badly damaged.
What a horrific crash over at turn 4. At the moment the race continues, but we will have to keep an eye on things, because I will have a look on the screens to look out for any red flags, because it was a horrific crash. I've seen crashes there before, and unfortunately they are so fast, and their riders were barrel rolling through. As it stands, the race is continuing. There you can see some movement by both riders, which is really good news, but they are in a bit of a danger zone still in the middle of the gravel trap, and these riders are coming through. Race control will be monitoring this carefully.
Well, in a dogfight like this, it is so easy to make that mistake that Canet made and pass under a yellow flag. Jaume Masia is still on the floor. That was a massive crash. Ramirez lost the rear through Stoner corner. He was sent flying through the air and then completely nowhere to go. Jaume Masia taking out. Jorge Martin's getting a bit hung out to dry on the outside there, coming through the southern loop. Well, Ramirez is on his feet finally. Jaume Masia is just trying to quickly get back on his feet. Here come the pack chasing through the Stoner corner. This was where the incident happened between the 2 teammates. There's debris on the outside of the track there. Somebody actually just run through a bit of debris, still on the circuit.
Darren Binder that was that's run over it. There's an arm up in the air there from Jorge Martin. He's overtaken on a yellow flag and wisely drops a position immediately.
Well, I guess I say it was how can Canet drop 2 places? He's just got to let a couple of riders slipstream him down the straight and it's job done. So he'd have already lost those 2 places. Oh, dearie me! Martin nearly had his front end washed out there, coming out of turn 7 through the hay shed. That was so tight. How close was that?
Well, Celestino Vietti, who is doing an outstanding job, he's come through. He's into the top 7, and Arbolino's now out of control. It was tidy at the start of this Moto3 race, but it's all getting a bit messy out there at the moment.
We've had a season's worth of drama already here in Phillip Island. We've still got 8 and a bit laps to go here. Another absolute classic battle. It is going to be a Yuma Sasaki that leads over the line at the end of lap number 15 on that Petronas Sprinter Honda machine. He's going to get slipstream here though, massive lead. Look at that. Darren Binder barely had to slipstream him, zipped on by on the KTM. Arbolino gets a 3-bike slipstream, as does Jorge Martin.
And McPhee's coming through. McPhee's coming through now into 2nd place as well. I think what that proves is that you do not want to be leading coming out of the final turn, because you are going to get absolutely swallowed up. Darren Binder went from 1st to 4th in a matter of seconds, and now we've got Arbolino leading from McPhee, Binder, Arbolino and Sasaki.
Sasaki came out of the final corner onto Gardner straight leading. He's struggling to keep himself inside the top 6 now, just 3 corners later. Look at all the debris on the circuit. A massive load of debris. That's the remnants of the Masia Ramirez shunt.
The marshals have only just finished getting the bikes out of the gravel trap. They're now running onto circuit to try and clear up some of this.
Over the line to start this 16th lap, Adam Norradine was outside the points in 17th place, yet he wasn't even 1.5 seconds behind your race leader. That's how tight it is here. Celestino Vietti, that was brave up the inside at turn number 8 from the Italian rookie. Only his 2nd Grand Prix appearance, fighting for the podium.
He's making a bit of a name for himself, isn't he, the number 31? It has to be said. This is anyone's, folks. What a race we've got here in Phillip Island. Hopefully Marcos Ramirez and Jaume Masia are okay after this huge crash. Now watch about 7th or 8th place in. You're going to see the 2 teammates. Oh, a massive high side. And Masia was just a complete passenger. Had no idea what was going to happen.
Massive high side, wasn't it, for Ramirez? Look at that. And then Masia, well, he was just along for the ride. Look at that horrific KTM machine bouncing about 20 feet in the air. So John McPhee and Jorge Martin in the slipstream. 7 laps to go here in Australia. It is Jorge Martin that leads the race. He knows this will be a massive 25 points. If he does take the victory, he'll go to Malaysia in 5 days' time with a 26-point buffer over his championship rival Marco Bezzecchi, who was taken out of this Grand Prix earlier on by Rodrigo at turn 10.
If anyone could break away from the pack, it's Jorge Martin. He's got an opportunity here. There's a little window. If the guys in second and third chop each other about, does Martin have here, with 7 laps remaining, an opportunity to check out in what would be a crucial race victory if he pinches it?
There we say 26 points would be the gap. That's your live championship. 2:29 Martin would move on to if he stays here for the final 6.5 laps of what's been a thrilling, enthralling Australian Grand Prix.
Already McPhee is starting to reel him in. The acceleration of that KTM and the fact that he's remained unbothered on this lap means that Martin's lead has been swallowed up already, and it could get worse for him. Here is Marco Bezzecchi, dejected as you would expect. Not his fault, going down into turn 10, and all he can hope for is that Martin doesn't finish on the podium.
What a body blow. He's had to take another one square on the jaw there, hasn't he, Marco Bezzecchi? As we say, that is cruel, cruel luck for him as Jorge Martin carries on with his business on the track. He won't care that his main title rival's out of contention. Martin then will lead over the line to tick off yet another lap number 17, but he's going to get blitzed, is he, on the run down the Gardner Straight. Yeah, John McPhee pops out of the slipstream, Foggia does as well. Look at that, Jorge Martin over the line in the lead, and he's barely inside the top 10 now.
Just incredible, this race here in Phillip Island. It really could go any way. Any rider inside the top 15 has got an opportunity to win this race. Around the southern loop we go and into Stoner Corner. John McPhee leads from Dennis Foggia with Ayumi Sasaki there in third. Darren Binder, then it's De Gian Antonio, Arbolino. Martin is now 7th.
Well, somebody can get some kudos from KTM here, because if they can take crucial points away from Martin, that will play in the favour, playing to the hands of Bezzecchi. At the moment, Foggia, McPhee and Binder are doing exactly that. Top 3 is your KTM riders.
The problem for Jorge Martin is that there are a lot of riders here with very little to lose. Some of them have never ever picked up a race victory, and they really couldn't care who wins the championship.
Now John McPhee chasing his first dry win, Foggia going for his first win, Binder going for his first win, Sasaki's hunting down a first ever podium.
Around Lukey Heights, neatly done from Jorge Martin as he squeezes underneath Darren Binder into turn 10 and moves up behind John McPhee. That puts him up into third. I think he'd take that if you offered it him right now.
And let's not forget as well, Fabio De Gian Antonio, still a championship challenger. He's there in 7th position. He's got himself right into this podium battle as well.
5 laps will remain as they cross the line. Dennis Foggia it is that leads. A rider in great form at the moment, Foggia. Of course, 3rd in Thailand, 4th in Japan. He doesn't lead for long, though. Into turn 1, it all changes.
De Gian Antonio,
yeah.
Fabio De Gian Antonio out of nowhere. He crossed the line 7th, and in the slipstream on the Del Conco Gresini Honda, he just fires himself straight into the lead, although he's well wide the southern loop. All the places that he gained pretty much on the Gardner Straight, well, he's handed them straight back.
Jorge Martin again struggling there. Tatsuki Suzuki, where on earth has he come from? He's now joining this leading group. He was 24th on the grid, the Japanese rider.
Well, look at Vietti. I think it was about a lap and a half ago. Vietti was 4th or 5th, knocking on the door of the top 6. He came over the line last time around. He's 16th. That said, 1.8 seconds off of your race leader. We're on lap 19, ladies and gentlemen, and we've still got less than 2 seconds covering the top 17 after almost 20 laps of action.
Bezzecchi will be hoping that off that 17, as you can see, tears in the eyes of the Italian, that they can somehow turn a frown upside down. He's got some friends here in this leading group, and he needs a few favours from them.
He's had to roll with some punches lately, hasn't he, poor old Marco Bezzecchi. Binder from De Gian Antonio, then it's Arbolino through turn number 11, lap number 19. Keep an eye on Air Bastianini as well, Steve. We've seen him over the last few races have real great late race rhythm. He's kept himself in this top 6 hunt throughout. Is he just winding up for a bit of a traditional late Bastianini burst?
Onto the start-finish straight we go. Aaron Canette's making forward movement as well. He's going well. There goes Sasaki, and that just shows you what happens when you get slipstreamed here at Phillip Island. Albert Arenas on the grass as he approaches Doohan Corner. That is not the grippiest line into turn one.
On the grass, these Moto3 bikes are still going to be doing around 160, 170 mile an hour. Albert Arenas, he'd have had his heart in his mouth for a split second there. Yeah, Aaron Canette, the Spanish rider, was third here 2 years ago for his first ever World Championship podium behind Brad Binder and Andrea Locatelli. He hasn't won since the British Grand Prix at Silverstone last year. No win in 20 for Canette.
I don't think Darren Binder actually has braking markers. He literally just lunges it in to turn number four without really looking like he's able to stop the bike, and yet he does time and time again. There is Martin then. He's behind his teammate, Gian Antonio, the championship leader, no matter what happens when we go to Malaysia next week. But at the front, two Hondas, Canette and Arbolino.
Well, there are 17 riders in this league group. You might as well chuck 17 balls in the air and see which one lands first. Who on earth is going to win this Grand Prix? No idea.
Complete lottery in Phillip Island. Suzuki now up the inside of Darren Binder into turn 10, and Tatsuki Suzuki, who started this race from 23rd on the grid, is now in second place.
Suzuki's running well in MotoGP. The Suzuki doing exceptionally well in Moto3. Here's the man who's on course to increase his World Championship advantage with Bezzecchi out of the race, Jorge Martin. Last time over the line he was down in 9th place. Crucial points up for grabs for Martin. Canette then can hold the advantage into the first corner, although the Gian Antonio sweeps on through. There is your man, the beast, starting to come from the east. Bastianini there now has got himself up inside the top three for the first time. How many times has he done that this year, the number 33? He just goes his way up to the front, and in those last 3 or 4 laps he just finds rhythm that gets him into podium contention, and he's right there again.
Shout out to Alonso Lopez as well, who's had some horrible form of late. He's in this group somewhere. I can't pick him out right now. Binder's so hot into turn 4. We talked about his braking markers a moment ago. He's just dropped down to about 13th or 14th place.
Well outside the top 10. Andrea Migno started on the back row of the grid. He's not out of this podium battle either. He's in 14th place, 14th, just inside the points, but a second off the leader over the line last time around.
It's incredible, isn't it? He qualified last. He's in the group to try and chase victory here in Australia. Brilliant racing action here in Moto3, and we've still got 2 1/4 laps remaining. Into turn 10 we go. Hot on the brakes there was Arbolino. He moves through on Dennis Foggia. Martinez up another place as well.
There'll be no way through for Bastianini on Arenas through turn number 11. The Spaniard had the inside line there. Just lost a couple of places on that last lap with Bastianini. For 1 second he was up inside that top 3, but now just on the outskirts of that top 6. So it will be Canette that will lead over the line. Penultimate lap underway. He's going to get slipstreamed though by the Gian Antonio and Arbolino. Look at that, Canette like he was just sitting still. He got absolutely blitzed by the 5 riders behind him.
Dennis Foggia, the only KTM actually in that leading group now, as Martin almost runs into the back of Sasaki. 2 laps to go. Oh, what a move by Jorge Martin. His corner speed through the southern loop has been supreme all race, and somehow he finds a door open to sneak through.
Well, we need to see a replay of that, because I think he passed 4 riders on the inside of the southern loop. That was incredible. That's what's marking this man down as one of the big stars. Oh! Arbolino's down, Foggia's down as well at turn 4. The 2 Italians have gone. Arbolino's lost his glove as well there.
Hopefully riders are okay. They're both about to get onto their feet,
That's
but
the nasty
disappointment.
One. Tony Arbolino's just holding that left hand. It looked like his glove was ripped off at some stage in that incident.
Whilst that's all happened, Jorge Martin has just managed to get himself what could be a crucial lead. He just has a big wobble though on the curbs. We're about to come over Lukey Heights. There's a lap and a half remaining here in Phillip Island.
Day to forget for the VR46 Academy so far. Bezzecchi, their championship contender, out. Dennis Foggia now out of the victory battle as well after a tangle with Arbolino. So Jorge Martin staring down the barrel of the most important victory of his Grand Prix career. Massive 25 points on the table for the Spanish rider. He has a long look over his shoulder. He doesn't want to lead, does he? He backed out of that.
No, not interested in leading at all.
Look how,
And
look
at
how
this.
much the pack. That was all because Martin rolled right out of it in turn 12.
This is the final lap of the race, ladies and gentlemen, and it looks like they've just gone from the line into turn 1. There's about 12 bikes going into turn 1. This is brilliant. In Phillip Island, Albert Arenas leads into turn 1 on the last lap.
Unbelievable. There were 8 or 9 abreast going into the Doohan corner. Absolutely incredible. It's Arenas then that now leads. Oh, Philip Oertel was out of the seat. A massive moment for Oertel coming out. They'll suddenly be almost collected Jorge Martin as well. Oertel's gone off track somehow. Martin, he dodges another bullet.
Dodging bullets everywhere is the championship leader. There's all to play for, and Celestino Vietti's in for a podium here as well in his second ever Grand Prix. The race leader there, Albert Arenas, is wide.
Martin had a massive moment on the gas coming out of turn number 4. Here they are, Siberia for the final time. The 2 KTMs have had a Jorge Martin. This is exactly what KTM, this is exactly what Bezzecchi needs.
Unbelievable drama here in Phillip Island, and it ain't over yet. Gian Antonio hunts down his teammate. Martin at the moment is in 3rd. Arenas is in for his 2nd Grand Prix win, and Vietti is about to stare a podium in the face.
He could win if he gets the slipstream behind Arenas. He might be in prime position here, Vietti. He could be taking a shock victory. Martin, though, finds a way upside the inside of the attendants. Oh, they need touch. Martin's probably lost the podium there. Jorge Martin may well have lost the podium. A mistake on the brakes, trying to find a way through on Vietti. It's Arenas from Vietti, from the Gian Antonio, from Jorge Martin. Martin's not going to win.
It's all down to the slipstream on the start-finish straight. Anything could happen here. Who takes victory in Australia? They're all side by side. The slipstream comes into effect. Martin's coming as well. The finish line is there. And Albert Arenas, he's done it. He takes his 2nd Grand Prix victory of the season. Gian Antonio 2nd, and Vietti has taken his 1st ever podium in just his 2nd race. It's ice creams all round for Albert Arenas.
What a race. What an unforgettable 23 laps here in Phillip Island. Albert Arenas taking his 2nd career victory by just 0.05 of a second from Fabio Di Gianantonio. Celestino Vietti, let's not forget that is just his 2nd Grand Prix appearance in for the injured Nicola Bulliger on the podium. Outstanding job by him. Martin got pushed back to 5th position. He goes to Malaysia with a 12-point advantage over this man, Marco Bezzecchi. The tears have been flowing. There's no carver flow, no, for Jorge Martin. It's not over. The fat lady's not singing just yet for Marco Bezzecchi. Martin led coming onto the Gardner Straight on that penultimate lap, and then he rolled right out of it. You could see how much the group concertinaed up. That man there, Albert Arenas, well, it was late drama, wasn't there, in Le Mans when he took his career 1st victory, when Fabio Di Gianantonio was disqualified after the checkered flag, and this time Arenas gets another one over on the Italian. And of course, Di Gianantonio, 20 points for him. He is still a firm title contender as well. Here's the number 75. What a race. What a classic to win.
The difference is this will mean so much more than the one in Le Mans. Of course, it was his 1st victory, but it was inherited.
Yeah.
It was inherited.
Proper win, that
This
one.
is a proper win for Albert Arenas.
Ladies and gentlemen, catch your breaths if you can. The top 14 riders over the line in that classic Phillip Island Moto3 race were covered by less than 1 second. 1 second after 38 minutes of racing covered the top 14.
Some of those guys will not believe that they've not been in the mix for the win, that have finished a bit further behind, that some of those guys led so many laps here. When the chronological analysis sheets come out a bit later on, it is going to be a right mix.
Well, I make that the 4th closest top 15 in lightweight World Championship history. What a race.
An unbelievable race we've just witnessed here in Australia. Fabio Di Gianantonio, by the way, he's not out of this championship either. That 2nd place for Digia puts him 20 points behind with 2 races to go.
The top 5, there was not even a 1/10 of a second split the top 5. Arenas, Di Gianantonio, Vietti, Suzuki, and World Championship leader Jorge Martin. It's going to go into the top 10 of the closest podium finish in lightweight World Championship history. I'm so out of breath, I can barely work out where it does slot into that top 10. What I can work out, it is the 4th ever closest top 15 in lightweight World Championship history, behind Mugello 2017, Brno 2014, and Mugello 2016. Fabio Di Gianantonio, big 20 points for him. He is still right in this championship battle. He is only 20 points behind Jorge Martin, with 50 still left to go. What about that young man there, though? Celestino Vietti. Your second ever Grand Prix appearance, and he's on the podium. He was only half a tenth away from the win. I'll tell you what, another half a metre and Arenas was not going to win that race.
It's just incredible.
You know what's going on? Albert Arenas, he's looking at the finish line going, come on, come on. He can't make himself any more aerodynamic. He's at full chat and he's thinking, please, 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 let me get over the line here first.
Albert in Australia, what a race to be a part of, and what a win.
Well, the Formula One race is held in Albert Park, and Albert comes to Parc Ferme here in Australia. Look at that, jubilant scenes all round. Alex Rins, really, really good friends, of course, with Albert Arenas. Alex Rins knows what it's like to win races here in Moto3 at Phillip Island, but whew, try and catch your breath after that one. What a classic, an instant classic, one that's going to live long in the memory, and great sportsmanship all round. It's great to see, after such a heated battle, such a ferocious battle, riders embracing each other down in Parc Ferme. KTM will be thanking Albert Arenas as well, because that was a crucial win. Tatsuki Suzuki, he came from way outside the top 20. He missed the podium by just 0.02 of a second. There is Jorge Martinez Aspar. He can barely believe what he's seeing. I think he may well have got a few more grey hairs on that head after that one. What an absolute humdinger.
One of the craziest races we've seen. And look at this, this is the start of the last lap.
This is when Martina rolled out of it at turn 12. Look at that, they are 6 or 7 abreast going into the first corner. Got to say, look at that, Arenas, he took the lead at the Doohan corner on the first lap, and he never let anybody get through on him after that. He rode absolutely brilliantly from that point onwards. This was a moment that, well, I thought Philippe Oettl actually made the mistake. He actually got clobbered from Jorge Martin. That was aggressive there by Martin. That's what dropped Philippe Oettl back out of contention. If that moment hadn't happened, well, we might have had a top 15 cover by less than a second, because Philippe Oettl lost a couple of seconds in that moment. And then this was so decisive. Jorge Martin, how tight was that? Down at turn number 10, almost contact with Vietti as he ran out a little bit wide. The Gian Antonio sweeps on through, and on the slipstream to the finish line, Tatsuki Suzuki as well pushed Jorge Martin back to 5th place. The championship rolls on to Sepang in Malaysia, but I don't think the last 2 races can deliver anything quite like that. Phillip Island once again delivering another masterpiece for us in Moto3.
Wow. Great to see that Martin was congratulating Albert Arenas. Of course, those two are great friends. Marco Bezzecchi, who was so unfortunate down at turn 10 to be wiped out by Rodrigo, was looking for some help from a VR46 Academy rider. None of us thought it was going to be Celestino Vietti, that's for sure.
Well, Phillip Island, it's one of the toughest tracks on the calendar to learn and to get adapted to. It's so fast, various different lines. You need a lot of bravery and courage, and there comes Celestino Vietti to take a podium. Stunning performance. Aaron Canet, 6th place, only a 10.5 away from the victory, although his winless run goes on now to 21 since the British Grand Prix at Silverstone last year. What an unbelievable Moto3 race. We're going to hear from the top 3 very shortly. Sure, they've only just about caught their breath as well. You're not going to see a better race than that in the next 20 years. Lorenzo Dalla Porta, well, all he can think about was what might have been. Starting to study the data, he was right in that victory battle when he suffered that heavy fall at the Southern Loop, so there's no repeat of his recent rostrum heroics in Buriram and in Japan. And of course, he now loses ground in that battle for 4th place with his teammate Basti Nini. Marco Bezzecchi, well, full credit to him, despite such bitter disappointment coursing through his veins. He's good enough to come and talk to Austrian and German TV there. You can see why he's going to be so deflated. This is potentially a massive moment in the championship. Rodrigo had nowhere to go. Look at that. He was caught in a sandwich between Canet and Bezzecchi. He thought he was going to hit Canet. He grabbed a bit more front brake. Down he went, and poor old Bezzecchi on the outside. Nowhere to go, nothing he could do. And that was the end of his race, potentially the end of his World Championship charge, although there is only 12 points splitting him and title rival Jorge Martin. Such a shame, though. It would have been great to have seen Rodrigo and Bezzecchi in that spectacle as well.
20 points then between 3 riders going into Malaysia, and there is the moment where Bezzecchi crying his eyes out. Poor lad.
Full of emotion. Difficult one to take, that one. That is a body blow for his championship challenge. That is a real difficult one to swallow. It was tough in Buriram at the last corner, but having got back to within a point of Jorge Martin after that brilliant win in Motegi. Talk about the contrasting emotions of racing in just 7 days. It was elation last weekend in Motegi. It's just dejection here for Marco Bezzecchi.
But, you know, anything can happen with 2 races to go. Sepang, Slipstream City there.
It just shows how inconsistent the guys throughout this championship have been, Steve. He's still right in championship contention with 2 rounds to go, even though he's had 5 DNFs so far this year. Here are the 3 men coming to the podium who've delivered us an absolute treat here today. There's Wayne Gardner, the 1987 500cc world champion. Celestino Vietti can just barely believe it. Jorge Martin's had a quick change. He's already back in his civvies to start debriefing with his crew. 5th place for him in today's phenomenal Phillip Island encounter. He was not even a 1/10 of a second away from the victory and not on the podium. That's how tight it was at the top. There was a fair few moments of contact in that race for sure as well, but it's joy for another Spaniard in the field, Albert Arenas. 2nd career victory, I think. Well, that pretty much sums it all up, doesn't it? That's what you need to ride a fast lap around Phillip Island. That's what you need to take a victory here. I'm sure you heard. Fabio Di Gianantonio then comes to the podium. He's only 20 points behind his teammate Jorge Martin in the championship. Celestino Vietti already out on the rostrum celebration. Here's your race winner though, Albert Arenas. There's the Nieto brothers congratulating each other, of course. Helete Nieto involved with the team named after his late Hang on Nieto. Great day for the Nieto family. Laura Anderson, the Australian Grand Prix Corporation board member, then hands over a first ever World Championship trophy to Celestino Vietti very shortly. Jorge Martinez Aspar could barely contain his excitement. He takes the team prize for Angel Nieto KTM for the 2nd time this year. France and Phillip Island. Kimberly Brown, Australian Grand Prix Commission board member, will do the honour to Celestino Vietti. Well, the sky's the limit for the Sky VR46 rider. His 2nd Grand Prix appearance, and he's on the podium, less than a 1/10 of a second away from the victory. Fabio Di Gianantonio, the 20-year-old Roman, 20 massive points for him. MotoGP legend, Australian legend Wayne Gardner hands over the trophy very, very shortly to Fabio Di Gianantonio. It's his 14th podium finish of his Grand Prix career and his 53rd start. He's only 8 points now behind Bezzecchi in the championship. We could well be on course for a Del Conco Gresini Honda 1-2 in the final rankings. But today, the victory went to the 21-year-old from Girona. Glenn Williams, the FIM Oceania president, handing over the race winners' trophy to Albert Arenas, the Spanish rider, in his 40th World Championship start. His 2nd podium, and both of them have been from the top step.
Albert Arenas picked up his 1st ever podium in Le Mans with a race win. He's done it again here. What an amazing circuit Phillip Island is, and what an amazing race that was. He could probably watch that race back and not believe he's going to win it himself.
Where do you start to try and cover that race? I mean, it was, just as we say, an instant classic. Stories throughout the podium, stories throughout the race. There goes the carver. Those 3 young men have certainly earned it. I guess by Australian law, Celestino Vietti, too young to be joining in the celebrations, but his time will come out. Of course, he's only 17. Is Celestino Vietti. Have a nice soft drink, I'm sure, to celebrate a little bit later on.